now, many developments in Lucknow. The transfer of 100 officers at least in Uttar Pradesh, 66 from the Indian Administrative Service or IAS and 42 police officers in a single day. All this on a day where investigations into the Badaun rape case have taken an unusual turn. Now, revelations made by Uttar Pradesh's top cop say that only one of 2 cousins was raped. He also seems to suggest the crime was not just rape followed by murder. The police are also investigating the family's role.
देखिए, अभी तक रेप की पुष्टि जो है, according to that particular thing, एक लड़की की नहीं हो रही है। ये भी हो सकता है कि वो निर्दोष हो। हाँ, संभव है, मैं तो ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ।
UP's top cop making fresh revelations about the week-old Badaun gang rape and murders. Forensic reports have now categorically established that only one of the 2 sisters was raped. Initial reports had suggested that both the teenagers were raped and murdered. The DGP also hinted that the 3 men arrested could be innocent, and one of the girls, who was the only child of the family, and her death could have led to property profits to other relatives. There is also fresh tangible evidence like empty beer bottles, blood-stained cotton found barely 70 yards away from the crime scene that have also been included in the investigations. Also, the night before the bodies were discovered, several frantic phone calls were made from mobile phones that belonged to members of both the families of the accused and the victims.
बियर के बॉटल तो हटा दिए गए हैं, मगर बियर बॉटल के कैप्स मिले हैं, कॉटन वूल मिला है जिसमें कि ब्लड है, प्लस हमने काफी कुछ उनके आपस में जो इनकी बातचीत हुई है विभिन्न लोगों से, उनके मोबाइल्स की, वो एनालिसिस कर रहे हैं.
The newly formed special investigation team has now taken over the probe and will now examine every aspect of these fresh angles. All the 5 accused will now undergo narco and lie detector tests to corroborate the circumstantial evidence. But the opposition is once again raising doubts about the government's intentions to fairly probe the case and has demanded that the Chief Minister step down.
It is just an eye wash. I think the most important thing for the moment is for AKHILESH Yadav to take responsibility and step down himself.
इस तरीके से अगर डीजीपी, प्रमुख सचिव गृह और मुख्य सचिव राजनीतिक संरक्षण प्रदान करने का काम करेंगे तो शायद उनके कर्तव्य निर्वहन के अनुकूल नहीं होगा.
Meanwhile, the centre is yet to make up its mind whether the CBI, the country's premier investigation agency, should take over the investigation. In Lucknow with Anand Zanane, Amitot Singh for NDTV.
Right, my colleague Anand Zanane now joins us from Lucknow for more. Anand, shed some light on both those developments. One, of course, the Badaun rape investigations and the kind of turn they have taken, and the transfer of all these top officials in the state. Are the two linked in any way?
Well, the AKHILESH Yadav government, despite the fact that it's been almost a week after the incidents and it has arrested all the accused, continues to face enormous pressure on the overall law and order situation in the state. And there is something that the government had to do to demonstrate the fact that it is serious about law and order, not only in Badaun, but across the state. Which is why first we saw the suspensions of the district magistrate and the SSP of Badaun, and then these sweeping orders of how IS officers and senior IPS officers, including SSPs, SPs, DIGs and IGs, have been reshuffled across the state. There were reports and feedback that the Chief Minister's Secretariat had received about perhaps how various other law and order situations in the state were not perhaps promptly handled by those officers, which is why these transfers have taken place. And also, as far as these investigations that we're talking about in the Badaun rape case, Maya, the report more or less covers most of the fresh revelations in this case, but the sense that we're getting from the police establishment is that with the presence of the media, perhaps the family was not really available for any sort of questioning. And now that the media gaze has slightly shifted away, there is not much media presence in the villages. The family has finally granted some access to the police, and these revelations that the DGP today made himself in that press conference are in a sense emerging from those interactions with the family, and whatever little other evidence that has been gathered will now be in a sense corroborated with whatever circumstantial evidence that exists with the police. All
Right.
those details will be matched.
Right.
The fact that the police is going public with these details
Right.
seems to suggest that there must be tangible evidence with them, which is why they're going ahead and saying these things on record.
Okay, Anand, just as a very quick follow-up to that, it's one thing to say that the police didn't have the chance to speak to all these family members because the media was present. I don't think the media has ever impeded the police in an investigation in that sense. But, you can shed some light on that. The second is that the way things have been handled right from the get-go, the fact that there were police officers, police constables also who were indicted right in the beginning because they hadn't registered the case, etc. There has been also a call for the government to take a serious look at how it conducted itself. In fact, the BSP also calling for Akhilesh Yadav to step down.
Absolutely, the opposition continues to mount the pressure, and which is why the government also is seen to be succumbing to that kind of pressure and taking these decisions. Several other decisions have also been taken because the government's image has taken a severe beating after this particular incident came to light. Every other incident of rape is making headlines across the state. So, which is why this is a conscious attempt by the government to also ensure that, whatever bad publicity has happened on account of these particular incidents, that is in a sense also overcome by taking a slew of measures. Now today the government has announced a corpus of 100 crore for the upgradation of various policing services across the state. They're saying that the district magistrates and the SSPs will have to go to the crime scene if the crime is of a very heinous nature and is something which is politically sensitive as well.
Right.
So those are the kind of measures that the government has had to take in, although many people, including the opposition, are not convinced about the fact that the media or any other political activity that was taking place at Badaun when these cases were reported from there
Right.
pose any sort of a hindrance as far as the investigations are concerned.
All right.